What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Alright. Go ahead, send this out real quick. Peace, 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 peace. Bam. Give me a quick second to collect some of my thoughts real quick. Page 39. I should keep that over here. Page 39. Alright, man. There's a lot going on in this country, United States of America. A really unfortunate case of injustice is happening right now. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to speak on it, but I've been reflecting on this for a while, and it's a pattern that I see this happening over and over and over again. And that's why I wanted to grab that other book. One second. Pattern. Got to identify the patterns, huh? This is a very important book here. It's called The Kabbalion. Has some very important jewels in it. I'm gonna get started in a minute. I'm really this is all kind of off the cuff, but just trying to organize because I got a lot that I want to say and get across to you. I want to see if I can actually find this law. It's about like the positive and negative of things. I think I'll play a little tune while I try to find it. If I can do that. Did I say I wanna kick it with teacher? Laser field, then we go and get some slice of pizza. Now we both high as fuck and we singing a live. Women like her, one in a mill. You see, you can't fake, so that shit is real. And if I like you, I'ma let you know the deal. Hey, don't text me, really tell me how you feel. Disconnect to reconnect, so smooth when I step out. Really, one of the best out, but rarely stick my chest out. Those that really got it play it cool. Only the wise man can play the fool. Watching the time spin, playing the cool. The OG taught me gotta study for you move. First you get your knowledge up, then apply the juice. Then you get your bands and your bins and you cruise. Like that. First you get your knowledge up, then apply the juice. Then you get your and you cruise. Man, this is amazing. All right. Here we go. So I found a law that I was looking for. It's well, it's two. It's the principle of polarity and the principle of rhythm. Um, and we're gonna get back to that in 1 second. First and foremost, um, what I would like for you to do when you're watching this, whenever you come across this, is just take, 7 to 10 seconds and just say a little prayer of healing um, for Breonna Taylor's family and friends, um, and truly for any and all of our people that have lost a loved one um, to this ongoing genocide. And I'll speak a little bit more on that later, but just take quick 7 seconds to send a prayer out. All right. And by the way, I'm Rami. I thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Response to Breonna Taylor. Um, so I have been quote unquote conscious or you know being active in trying to figure out who I am and about my people and fighting for justice since Oscar Grant happened. Since Oscar Grant was murdered. Um, and I was out in the streets and protesting with people and marching. And I saw how what we was doing got completely manipulated by people there and by the media and politicians. Um, and it completely got distorted. And I saw this happen again and again in Mike Brown and just all of the people that have been lost and murdered, excuse me. And I started to see the pattern that one of our people would be murdered. We would be so upset that we would go marching and protesting for justice. Um, the media would capture these certain few people, quote unquote, rioting and take the narrative and twist the narrative. And before you know it, the energy and the momentum is lost. And then we don't see any justice happening. And I've seen this happen over and over and over again. Um, and it's frustrating, but what I want to offer to you and I want to show you guys is right here, so a little prop for you. When I was doing my protesting for the whole Occupy Oakland thing and Occupy Wall Street, I had a conversation with Malcolm X's grandson at the time, and he had said to me, you should be very careful of any movement, any protest where you can't identify clearly the leadership involved and what their goals are. And at the time I was real naive. I was like, nah, but you see, you don't have to have just one leader. That way, no one can just pick you off and everybody is leading, da 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 da. He said, yeah, I understand. But it also means you can be misled. And if you don't know who's leading, this whole pack of people can be misled. And, I really sat and thought on that. And the more that I seen things develop, the more I saw how easily the masses of people can be misled. And our energy that we mean well and our intentions meaning well can get redirected into a space or into a direction that is actually meant to harm us. And that stuck with me. And I'm speaking on it now in reference to Breonna Taylor and what's going on. One, I wanted to just bring to our attention that that the government in Louisville, they issued a state of emergency before any announcement or decision had even came out. That should be a red flag.
Because how can you declare a state of emergency if there is no emergency? Um, I don't even want to get into the particulars of the case because we all know it's foul. You know, what I want to focus on more so is how we respond to things and not allowing ourselves to be manipulated and um, our energy and our time and our people to be manipulated, and some of them murdered or arrested, um, and manipulated and redirected to harm ourselves as opposed to actually getting justice. Um, hmm. I don't want to tell people or say that it's wrong to protest, or that it's wrong to be out in the streets, or that it's wrong to be upset, because I understand it is justified. We are suffering through a genocide. Um, it's not cool, you know. And if we were just simply taking this abuse and this suffering and not being frustrated at our oppression, that would be even more concerning. So I don't want it to come off like we're wrong for being frustrated, but we have to think. You know, we have to really use our minds. And right now, I want to speak specifically to Moors out there, the Moorish Americans out there. Now is the time where we're supposed to step up and we're supposed to stand on our principles and lead the way. Now is the time where we have to use the wisdom of Noble Drew Ali, you know, and not just go off of our emotion and off of what we feel and what we think. And I encourage everybody, I encourage anyone that's watching this, to look into what Noble Drew Ali has said. I wanted to read this piece here. He forgiveth the injuries of men. He wipeth them from his remembrance. Revenge and malice have no place in his heart. For evil he returned not evil. He hateth not even his enemies, but requiteth their injustice with a friendly admonition. For evil, the Moorish American, you, Muslim, for evil we return not evil. We hateth not even our enemies, but requiteth their injustice. So when they are doing an injustice to us, the people that we call the enemies, we requiteth their injustice. And I went to look up requiteth. That's Requiteth, or requite is the modern term is just Requite. I looked that word up, and it means to repay or to avenge or to retaliate for a wrong done. All right. So to retaliate, to repay their injustice, we are supposed to do it with a friendly admonition. Admonition is ADMONITION. And that's the long form of admonish. And that means to warn or reprimand firmly, to advise or urge, warn of something to be avoided. What does that mean, Rami? Are you saying that when we are getting murdered, we're just supposed to warn them? What I'm saying, first and foremost, is that we're not to return evil for evil. that we're not to hate our enemies, that revenge and malice have no place in our heart. Why though? Because what's in our heart? A lie. Why would you have revenge and malice up in there with a lie? Don't do that. That's not the way. But what is the way? What are we supposed to do? Rami, what are we supposed to do? Well, Noble Ali said for us, and this is, I'm speaking Moors, so-called black people, this is for you too, so-called African Americans, but Moors know this. And see, right now is our time to teach. And on that note, we can't teach. Hold on, wait a second. Alicia Keys, new album. Her new album just dropped. Her new album just dropped a few days ago. Alicia Keys, let me get the album name. Alicia Keys. Oh, I think the name is Alicia. Yeah, Alicia. And she has a song on there. The first song, is Truth Without Love. It's just a lie. Come on now. Come on, Alicia. Talk to him, Alicia. Talk to him. Truth without love is just a lie. What does that have to do with anything, Rami? What I'm saying is, more specifically, Moorish Americans, we cannot, we must not speak to our people, the people that don't understand and realize that we're Moors. We must not speak to them about this truth without love. It's just a lie, man. It ain't gonna work. Hey, love, truth. Come on, man. Come on. You can't get to the truth without getting to the love first. And that's what I mean, is that right now, our people are hurting. We have no help right now as it stands in the United States when we're just looking within this government on the local, state, or federal level. We are not getting help. But this is why we have to look towards the ones that were speaking the truth with the love. Noble Drew Ali was teaching us nationality. Why is that important? I'm going to show you. The autobiography of Malcolm X. He always talk about by any means necessary. By any means necessary. That doesn't mean go straight to weapons. That doesn't mean grab an AK and stand by the window. It means by any means. Any of the means. Nationality is one of those means. This is what he said. Chapter 19, 1965. 1965, how many years is that? 55 years ago? 55 years ago, this is what El Haj Malik El Shabazz, also known as Malcolm X, said. 55 years ago. I must be honest. Negroes, Afro-Americans, or African Americans, colored people, showed no inclination to rush to the United Nations and demand justice for themselves here in America. I really had known in advance that they wouldn't. The American, quote-unquote, white man has so thoroughly brainwashed the quote-unquote black man to see himself as only a domestic civil rights problem that it will probably take longer than I live before the Negro sees that the struggle of the American black man is international. I want to read this other piece. And see, this is when he was in Mecca. It says, I had understood it better now than I had before. in the holy world away from America's quote-unquote race problem was the first time ever I had been able to think clearly about the basic divisions of white people in America and how their attitudes and their motives related to and affected Negroes. In my 39 years on this earth, the holy city of Mecca had been the first time I had ever stood before the Creator of all and felt like a complete human being. And further he says, my thinking had opened up wide in Mecca. In the long letters I wrote to friends, I tried to convey to them my new insights into the American black man's struggle and his problems, as well as the depths of my search for truth and justice. I've had enough of someone else's propaganda. I have written to these friends, I'm for truth no matter who tells it. I'm for justice no matter who it is for or against. I'm a human being first and foremost, and as such, I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. Man. Malcolm, man. He said in 1965 he had already knew the quote-unquote American Negro, the Afro-American, was not willing to go to the United Nations with our problems. And instead we were stuck in this national district, this federal district of civil rights, and not taking it internationally as human rights. It's a human rights issue. Genocide is a human rights issue, not a civil rights issue. And as long as we, as long as we stay in that civil rights sandbox, we'll keep going around and around and around and around. And on that note, that's the other thing I wanted to read. In this Kabbalion, it says, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has a pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degrees. Heat and cold, to illustrate, heat and cold, although opposites, are really the same thing, the difference consisting merely of degrees of the same thing. Look at your thermometer and see if you can discover where heat terminates and cold begins. There's no such thing as absolute heat or absolute cold. The terms heat and cold simply indicate varying degrees of the same thing. And that same thing which manifests heat and cold is merely a form, a variety, a rate of vibration, energy. And so that heat and cold, light and dark, love and hate. Let us take a radical and extreme example, that of love and hate, two mental states apparently totally different, and yet there are degrees of hate and degrees of love, and a middle point in which we use the terms like or dislike, which shade into each other so gradually that sometimes we are at a loss to know whether we like or dislike or neither. And all are simply degrees of the same thing. And then this is important. I'm gonna read the next part real quick. This is the principle of rhythm. That everything flows out and in, everything has its tides, everything rises and falls, the pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing is right, the measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Says, here we go. This principle embodies the truth that in everything there's manifested a measured motion, to and fro, a flow and inflow, a swing backward and forward, a pendulum-like movement, a tide-like ebb and flow, high tide and low tide, between the two poles which exist in accordance with the principle of polarity described a moment ago. There's always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, a rising and a sinking. And it says the Hermetists have grasped this principle, finding its universal application, and have also discovered certain means to overcome its effects in themselves by the use of appropriate formulas and methods. They apply the mental law of neutralization. They cannot annul the principle or cause it to cease its operation, but they have learned how to escape its effects upon themselves to a certain degree depending upon the mastery of the principle. They have learned how to use it instead of being used by it. Let me read that last sentence again. They have learned how to use it, the mental law of neutralization, instead of being used by it, and the principle of rhythm. I know that was a lot, but really what it's saying is that in this existence that we're living in, there exists a love and there exists a hate on this same pole. So on two opposite spectrums, but the energy is really just varying degrees. And we're gonna have this in this society. We're gonna have ebbs and flows, rising and sinkings, good days and bad days. Great things happen and disastrous things happen. But what you can do is use your mental, to understand that that law is going to exist and figure out how to avoid its effects. How do you avoid its effects? Love. Okay, what does that mean though? We need to love ourselves more. Let's go within more. Let's figure out, okay, what is a way that we can solve this issue? What is a way that we can really solve this issue? Because if we just keep going on the same swing, somebody gets killed or murdered, then we protest, then we do something, then it dies out, goes back. Happens again and again and again and again. How about we get out of that? We don't play the civil rights game. Nah, we step out of that. We move into humans' rights. And we can do that because we're moving as a nation. Here's another idea I'm gonna put out there. This system, this government already has established police, quote unquote, police officers. Cool. We understand that they're dispatched by the city, the municipalities, blah, 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 blah. Got it. How about we take it upon ourselves to become peace officers? Ooh, I like that, Rami. Peace officers, not police officers, peace officers. Well, who's gonna? We are authorizing it. How can we? Because we are our nation, yeah. And we are uplifting our people, uplifting humanity. We're standing on the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. How about we take the initiative, figure out in the community how we can serve, and start doing shifts as peace officers. And we don't need no weapons at all. We just walk around the community and help bring the peace. So hopefully ain't nobody even got to call the police. Oh, you feel? You see how that works? Come on, man. Somebody feel me out there. What I'm saying is, these people that are doing the genocide, committing the genocide among our people, hating them is not going to solve the problem. And playing their ring around the rosy game isn't going to solve the problem either. We got to use our minds, free ourselves. You feel me? I wanted to read something else also, though. I wanted to read something else real quick. I don't have a cover anymore, but this is also from El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Let me get that in the picture for you. Boom. This is the diary. It's called The Diary of Malcolm X, El Haj Malik El Shabazz, 1964. Edited by Herb Boyd and Ilyasa Al Shabazz. And I wanted to just read a couple couple pieces to get our minds going. We're gonna transition into oh man, I didn't even check in with y'all, my fault. Then we're gonna transfer we're gonna transfer into the Supreme Grand Council. Supreme Grand Council. Oh, God, great. Glad I checked this out. This is a great chance to answer this question here. Moore's been, quote unquote, teaching for over 100 years. When are you smart, grand, cheeky guys gonna take action? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. Tired of all this talk lectures and dissertations. Shaking my damn head. Abdul Bey TV. Got you. Well, when you say Moors have been teaching for over 100 years, that seems to imply that that's all Moors have been doing. That doesn't make sense. I just showed you El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. Is he not a Moor? Was he only teaching? Or was he active? But let's move away from him. What are you doing? Abdul Bey TV. What are you doing, sir? Rather than look at other people and say, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? See, in the Quran, it teaches us that any man can stand on a stump of wood and point the way. That's like a sign. Anybody could do that. But the real leader, the real teacher, walks the path. So everybody know, oh, he went that way. Rather than come on live and complain about me teaching when this is what it's for, I suggest you be active. It's a thought. Let me get back to this, though. Yeah, I'll come back to that part. This is from this is from Thursday, September 24th. And it says, this is El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz writing. It says, I'm anti-racism, whether it's practiced by a capitalist, a communist, or a socialist. The China ambassador to Ghana. The China ambassador to Ghana. Don't be a racist. It's a struggle between oppressed people of all colors against the oppressor of all colors. The China ambassador to Ghana. And it says, if he was a racist, since the press had projected me in the image of an extreme racist, racism would have the natural and wisest approach from him. But instead, he approached the problem objective, as a human being. When we all learn to think as human beings instead of capitalists, communists, and socialists, this will then be a world for all human beings. Man. Malcolm, man. I just wanted to highlight that because I want us to expand our mind and to start thinking broader than just what we've been told in the confines of the United States of America, where people are throwing out this whole rumor that China, quote unquote, is colonizing and taking over Africa. Here he was listening to the China ambassador and they're talking about don't be a racist. It's a struggle between oppressed people of all colors. Don't sound like no colonism takeover at all. Sounds like liberation. Our Asiatic brothers and sisters over there in the East. And we have to get out of that fear and out of the programming that is here in this country that gets us to believe that no other nation is willing to work with us or hear us out or cares about us at all, because it's not true. We just got to expand our thinking. We have to join ourselves with the families of nations, because, let me get this real quick, go back here, because according to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family. Oh man, we gotta attach ourselves back to the human family. And again, that's where we Moors, we come in with love. We can teach our people, all right, this is how we can get help. We can reach out internationally as a nation, as a collective, not just the group of ADOS, descendants of slaves. That's, respectfully, that's not a nationality. That's still this, temporary label that really doesn't identify who we are. And we just got to teach the truth with love, though. You feel me? And then the other part I wanted to read. Yes. I'll read that little piece, and then I'm going to hop over real quick. Yes, that's what I do. So it is, boom. So this one was September 6th. This is page 115. And it says, I just saw this on my way to looking at something else. It says, we left Gaza at noon and got back to Cairo at 1:30. Dr. Asa Davis came by. He had found many things in the ancient Cairo manuscripts referring to Islam and quote-unquote black Americans. My goodness. We discussed many things: Goldwater, Afro-Arab relations, Zionism, OAU, etc. And then the last little piece I wanted to read. Oh, I wanted to read the piece about Sudan too. Let me see if I can find that. I done lost that page. I done lost that page about Sudan. Here we go. Wednesday, September 30th, Ethiopia. Met two Sudanese students, cousins, at the airport going abroad to study. One in Cairo for medicine, the other London for economics. The Sudanese people love, quote-unquote, American Negroes, was their emphatic statement when they learned I was from America. We are the same people. Hello, talk to him, man. Talk to him now. We are the same. These are Sudanese people. This is over in Ethiopia now. And Malcolm says, I never cease to be impressed by the Sudanese. Come on, man. Shout out to my Sudanese family out there. But this is the part I wanted to read, and I'm going to skip over because I got a book I wanted to show off real quick. Boom. At breakfast, this is September 21st, page 127. At breakfast, I met Nicholas Aboud, a Lebanese personal secretary to Talas, one of the king's brothers. At 10:30, Hussein Siraj, Director General of Muslim World League Mecca, took me to the palace of H.E. Muhammad Sarus Sabin. Tall, black, very alert and commanding. I met one of his sons. He offered all help, said I needed no letter of introduction. They already know me. Will help on our center, will accept 15 scholars, also send us a black Arab, quote-unquote black Arab, quote-unquote black Arab, this is important, who knows Arabic, Islam, and English. And that's all the part I wanted to read that part. I wanted to put that black Arab in there. Because this was Malcolm X, El Haj Malik El Shabazz. You should get this book immediately if you don't got it. Because this is his words from his diary, just transcribed. Very important. Black Arab, black Arab, black Arab. Why are you focusing on that, Rami? What does that have to do with anything? Talking about reaching out to other nations for help, for assistance, for unity, because we need help. Man, just got this in the mail today. From Babylon to Timbuktu, a history of the ancient black races, including the Black Hebrews. Rudolph R. Windsor. Let's have a look-see, shall we? A look-see in the book-see. What do we see? The Empire of Mali? Wait a minute. That said North African Black Jews. That's interesting. North Africa, Black Jews. I don't know. Let's keep looking. Let's see what we see. Okay, the early North Africa. Many scholars call the inhabitants of North Africa Berbers, but I shall not do so. I do not like this word Berber. First of all, it is not a native word of Africa, therefore it is misleading. Interesting. Beginning says the unbiased Greek historian Herodotus, may honor be given unto him, gives the original names of the tribes of North Africa, beginning from Egypt, extending to the Atlantic Ocean. Let's go to the map 1 second. From Egypt to the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, this is North Africa. Egypt to the Atlantic Ocean. Adamachidai, that's some tough names. There's some tough. Kabbalians, we're going to speed through these. It's a whole lot of names. I ain't going to read them all, but you should get this book. This is chapter 6. I can't pronounce these. Here's a much cleaner part. Herodotus says there are 4 nations in Africa. 2 are indigenous, Ethiopians and Libyans. Ethiopians. Noble Drew Ali said, never mind. Let me just keep looking. Let me just keep on flipping. Keep on flipping. The expulsion of Jews from Spain and Portugal. The Moorish stronghold of Granada surrendered to the armies. Wait a minute. I think we found something. Did we find something, ladies and gentlemen? Hold on for me. I think we found it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we found it. Can we see that? The Moorish Empire. Oh my goodness. Let's read it. In less than 100 years, the Black Arabs. Wasn't I just reading something? The Black Arabs. El Haj Malik, he was talking about Black Arabs, wasn't he? In less than 100 years, the Black Arabs had pushed their way completely across North Africa in the 7th century. At this time, the Arabs were black. They had not mixed much with other people. The Arabs did penetrate into the interior of the Sahara Desert, but only in small numbers, so that territory remained basically African. The Arabs were black at this time. In the 7th century, the Arabs were black. Interesting. Let me keep reading. Here is a vivid account of the conquering Moors, described by a writer who sympathized with Christian Spain. So this is a writer from the other side, the opposition, the enemy, okay? The reins of their horses were as fire, their faces black as pitch. Their eyes shone like burning candles. The horses were swift as leopards, and the riders fiercer than a wolf in the sheepfold at night. The noble Goths were broken in an hour, quicker than a tongue can tell. O luckless Spain! These black Moors But didn't he just say black Arabs? So black Arabs are the same as quote unquote black Moors or Moors. Okay. These black Moors, quote unquote black Arabs, we just gonna say Moors, these Moors ruled over parts of Spain for more than 700 years. During this time, the Moors developed the greatest cultural civilization known anywhere in Europe. I'm gonna read this again. These Moors ruled over parts of Spain for more than 700 years, and during this time, Moors developed the greatest cultural civilization known anywhere in Europe. In the last half of the 11th century, there emerged a powerful dynasty of sultans from Senegal, West Africa, known as the Almoravids. They established their capital at Marrakech, Morocco, and became masters of a new empire that included Senegal, Morocco, Algeria, Tunis, and southern Spain. This empire was even larger than Western Europe. I'm gonna read this last piece. The Moors were known for more than just conquest. While the remaining part of Europe was in a state of ignorance, the Spanish people took advantage of the knowledge of the quote-unquote black Moors. During the Moorish rule, many other capitals of Europe were mere hamlets, but Cordova, the capital of Spain, was a booming city. It is said that after dark one could walk many miles in Cordova and never pass through a street not lighted by public lights. When a person walked out after dark in London, we're talking about London now, he had to carry a candle or a lantern with him to illuminate his path and had to wear high shoes to walk through the thick mud that often covered the roads. When many Europeans were garbed in skins and in coarse garments, Moors were wearing silks, linens, cotton. They also washed in 900 bathhouses of Cordova. 900 bathhouses. 900 bathrooms in the city, public bathrooms. The palace of the Moorish Sultan or Caliph was far greater in beauty, comfort, and wealth than any of the castles of the medieval kings. The palace was greater in beauty, comfort, and wealth than any of the castles of the medieval kings. The Moors used extremely highly polished marble in their construction. And then it says, the Moors were masters of mosaic work, but the Arabs and Moors, never mind. The Arabs and Moors were known not only for their handicraft, but also for their science. Most of the knowledge of ancient Greece and the Near East was unknown in Europe during the medieval period. The Arabs, Moors, had come into close relationship with Greek and Persian culture. The Arabs, Moors, did not destroy this culture. Instead, they brought it to North Africa. There were many famous Moorish and Hebrew scholars in southern Spain. The black Jews, like the Arabs and Moors, The black Jews, like the Arabs and Moors, made a great contribution not only to Afro-Asian civilization, but also to European. They helped translate the works of Greek philosophers into Arabic. In turn, these works were studied by the Arab-speaking Jews of North Africa and Spain and translated into Hebrew. The black Jews of the Moorish Kingdom of Spain translated these works into the Latin language, and from Spain, the sciences of the Greeks and the Afro-Asian people were transmitted to Western Europe. Last thing. They established academies and universities for the rich, but also there were many free schools, there were excellent libraries, The scholarly Caliph of Cordova in the 10th century sent all over the world for books. The library of this caliph contained over 400,000 volumes. 400,000 books back then. Last thing. Moorish normal life was based on agriculture, manufacturing, and trade. The Moors brought into Spain rice, cotton, peaches, oranges, and lemons. Silk culture was introduced to Spain by Moors. Moors had fine glazed tiles, silks, velvet. What is it, velvet? Brocades, jewels, and ornamental leather products. Moorish civilization had a gigantic effect on Portugal and Spain. And this is the reason that these two countries were the first European powers to emerge after the Dark Ages. From Babylon to Timbuktu. Real quick, just to verify. In the 8th century, the Moors, i.e. natives of Mauritania and North Africa, invaded Spain and took with them Egyptian culture which they had preserved. The knowledge in the ancient days was centralized and it belonged to a common parent and system, the wisdom, teaching, and mysteries of Egypt. As such, the people of North Africa were the neighbors of the Egyptians and became the custodians of Egyptian culture, which they spread through considerable portions of Africa, Asia Minor, and Europe. During the occupation of Spain, Moors displayed with considerable credit the grandeur of African culture and civilization. The schools and libraries which they established became famous throughout the medieval world. Science and learning were cultivated and taught. The schools of Cordova, Toledo, Seville, and Saragossa attained such celebrity that they, like their parent Egypt, attracted students from all parts of the Western world. That's just to verify what was said in this book. And to further elaborate that the knowledge that the Moors had was ancient Kemetic or Egyptian science and knowledge. And it's just been going down and passing down through generations and generations like that. What does that have to do with anything? That we can do this ourselves, that we've been great, that our history does not start with slavery, that we are not American descendants of slaves, that we are not ex-slaves, that we are not ex-Negroes, that we are not descendants of black people. Our history, our culture, our greatness cannot be contained in that little blip of our history. That is a condition that we are currently under, that we're currently suffering by. That status, everything that that label represents is what allows things like the murder of Breonna Taylor or of any of the people that we lost. It's what allowed those things to continue. And Noble Drew Ali gave us the information, brought us back the information, the knowledge of self, of who we truly are, in order to pick ourselves up and rise up out of this nonsense. And it's no way any of us should be telling ourselves that we can't do it. Because it's clear through history that we are great. In every facet. In every facet, we are great. And we can do this on our own. It's in us. It's in our genes. We just got to activate it, baby. You know what I mean? That was a lot of talking. Here we go. That's great. That's great. I was just finna get QL asking a question about the Supreme Grand Council. Just finna get to that. Glad you asked. One moment. Bam, right here. I just got this. This book is very powerful. It breaks down the positions within our organization, the responsibilities of the Grand Sheik, of the Secretary, of the Grand Marshal, of the Chairman, of the Assistant Grand Sheik, etc. It breaks all of these things down to help us understand what these people in these positions are responsible for. Now, as it relates to your question, you said, what makes you think that a compromised Grand Council can make change? Act 1 of our divine constitution and bylaws says that we are our officials and supposed to make and enforce law. IQL, it's very important that you understand this. And anybody watching, that the Moorish Science Temple of America was set up and established by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Not a guy that just sounded like he had some good ideas and put it together. Not, some dude on YouTube just telling you to donate to the GoFundMe and this and that. And, man, I got this great, I believe this will work. No, this is a prophet sent by our Creator, Allah. So let's first understand the weight of that. A universal prophet, but came specifically for so-called black people. Why? Because we needed him the most. And with that, he said, I gave you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourself. So we have the tools. We were sent a prophet from our Creator, and we have the tools. Before I even get to the tools, it says, let me see if I can flip to off the. It says that God, Allah, gave us good and evil, but gave us a way to throw off the evil. And I was trying to flip through it off the cuff. Yeah, I can't find it off the cuff right now. There it goes. Boom. Yes. Holy instructions from the prophet on weakness. Listen up, man. Listen up, man. Allah hath given thee no good without its admixture of evil, but he hath given thee also the means of throwing off the evil from it. What does that mean? It means Allah sent us a prophet, Noble Drew Ali, established the Moorish Science Temple of America, established a government for us within this the United States of America, a state, if you will. And that state, it runs like any other government. It has branches, judicial, executive, legislative. Ooh, there we go. The Supreme Grand Council operates under law. So when you say, what makes you think the compromised Grand Council can make change? Simply, make the Supreme Grand Council uncompromised. Clean up our temple. Stop using, the temple is dirty and it got dirty Moors in it as an excuse not to clean up. I'm talking myself. I still got to mop and clean off the stove. I wash my dishes, but I still got the big dishes over there. I've been putting it off, but I got to clean up, man. You got to do the work. I got to take out the trash, got to vacuum the room, got to fold up the clothes. I got to do that. And that's an analogy for our temple. We can't just say, the Supreme Grand Council is compromised, so we can't do anything. No, we just have to clean it up the proper way. And that's what I've been continually speaking on over and over and over and over and over again for the past few years now. Um, and oftentimes people like QL um, will try to avoid from the obvious what's right in front of our face. We have to clean up our temple. We have to stop looking and pointing at other people and what everybody else is doing. I'm talking about the man in the mirror. Come on now. You know what's up. We got to make a change within ourselves first, within our organization as Moorish Americans first. We have to conduct ourselves, clean ourselves up properly first. We can't claim to be a Grand Sheik or an assistant Grand Sheik or a Moorish American Muslim and saying we're here to uplift humanity, and then in the same breath, we pushing negativity and hatred and violence towards other people. That ain't the way. How are we distinguishing ourselves from the so-called Negro way or the way the so-called African Americans thinking? How do we distinguish ourselves as Moorish American Muslims that are following the guidance of Allah through Noble Drew Ali and the other prophets? Not just through what we saying, through our actions. How is our conduct? And before we can look at how we talking to other people, how we talking to ourselves, what are we doing within our own organization? Are we holding our own selves up to the same standards that we're trying to challenge other people to do? Are we telling people, hey, you need to join the temple and proclaim your nationality, but we ain't even got our temple right? I ain't trying to invite nobody over to the house and if it's all dirty. Come on, man. I can't have company over right now. Gotta clean up real quick. Hold on. But on the flip side, hey, people need to come in, man. It's dangerous outside. We need to get this information. We need to study. We need some good food. Soul food. Not just the kind you eat, you know what I mean? And I'm saying all of that to bring it back to the Supreme Grand Council. And I'm challenging you. Yes, you watching right now. Yes, you. Don't look around. Yeah, you. Stop waiting on Rami. What's Rami saying? Let's challenge everyone else. Not out of hate. Because the truth without love is a lie, man. But we have to be honest with ourselves and we have to understand that the Supreme Grand Council is the component necessary so that we can use the Moorish Science Temple of America properly, so they can function properly on the national side as well as the divine side. For example, yes, there's stagnation. Gina Williams, there's stagnation, absolutely stagnation. For example, let me speak about myself. I initially was planning on going to the Moorish convention because I wanted to do this and get this going and this, that, and the third. But I spoke with my mom and I spoke with my daughter, and they were both uncomfortable with me traveling at the time because of everything that was going on in the country. And so I said, you know what? Let me listen to their advice because it is kind of hostile and that's a lot of traveling to do by yourself. And I said, you know what? I need to make sure that I got everything in line properly before I just go rushing into things. And I feel like that is on a microcosm level how we all need to kind of conduct ourselves, and then we need to move to our temples, our subordinate temples, and then our major temple. And then we move to really reaching out and trying to really correct people. Because it's hard to tell other people you need to change this, that, and the third about yourself. Well, we got a whole lot of issues going on with our, you know what I mean? Because if I'm from the outside and I hear somebody trying to tell me, oh, you need to do this, that, and the third, and proclaim your nationality, you need to get to a temple. If I'm from the outside, I'm looking like, man, y'all ain't got y'all thing together. How you gonna tell me this? What y'all been doing? Like the dude said, 100 years. But what y'all been doing? What y'all got? Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all ain't stopped. And though the criticism may be a bit, you know, it's more nuanced than that. It's some truth to that thing. It's too much stagnation. It's too much um, of the same old, same old. You know, plain and simple. And us not holding ourselves accountable. And it cannot just be, me speaking up about the Supreme Grand Council. We have to do this because it can't. It's government. It's law and order. It's not a social club. You know what I mean? We have to really understand that it's not just, oh well, Rami, why don't you just do it? It don't work like that. The same way you can't just create a temple and just get this going. It don't. I mean, you can. You have the ability to in that sense, but it's not proper. It's not the lawful way. It's not the way Noble Drew Ali established things, and we got to follow the leader. You know what I mean? It's simple as that. And so, I challenge our people, man. I challenge the Moors out there. You know, with love, man. With love, we have to get right because now more than ever, our people are suffering through extreme, very harsh treatment by this government, and being murdered just blatantly, just with complete disregard for our humanity and our just everything. You know what I mean? And just disregard for human life. And Noble Drew Ali warned us that the worst was yet to come way back then if we didn't get right. And so I say that to say this, is that if you're a Moorish American, if you know about this information, if you're watching this right now, yes, you Moor, yes, you Maz, I'm talking to you. It's your responsibility, it's your duty, it's your obligation to help uplift humanity, to teach the ones that don't know. And we can't do that if we not. We can't do that if we're not being honest. Excuse me. If we're not being honest, and if we don't got the love in it, because like for example, we had the convention. Considering that it was the COVID situation, there should have been some sort of system established where people could log in online and attend the conference via online. We need to get better at that. It's not to point blame at any particular person, but it's to take responsibility for ourselves and figure out how we can improve. We need to settle this Supreme Grand Council thing so we understand what is the process to proclaim your nationality. How do I get my nationality card? What are the steps? Here are the steps. Step 1. This is the step 2, step 3, Now you have your nationality. It should be as simple as that. It shouldn't be these varying the same way you go. Everybody got this standard process to get your passport. It ain't, if you're in California, it's one way. If you in, Arizona over there, it's a different way. If you way over there in, New Hampshire or something, they got a whole different. It's not like that. It's Rotarian in complexion. You understand? And we have to get to that place to where it's truly functioning the way it's supposed to, so that when we go to teach our people, when we go to reach out and say, this is why you shouldn't call yourself black. Come here, sister. Come here, brother. Let me show you. This is what it does. This is all you have to do. This proclaims your nationality. You turn it in here, and then now you have your human rights. Now you have your civil rights because you have your human rights. But we can't do that if we don't take care of the temple first, if we don't clean up and take care of business inside the temple first. So it's hard to bring people in to a messy house, man. Ain't nobody gonna want to sit down on the couch. And it's a whole lot of messiness going on with our temples right now. In fact, it was 2 conventions that I saw. That's confusing if I'm from the outside looking in and I want information and I'm trying to follow what Noble Drew Ali set up. He didn't have 2 conventions. How are we, who is the main person? What is the leadership of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Everyone should know this. It should be uniform. So we got work to do. And that Supreme Grand Council is at the center of it. And I also want to tell you, Moorish Americans, Muslims, if you have a Grand Sheikh, assistant Grand Sheikh, if you have some sort of Moorish leader or Moorish teacher that is trying to convince you that the Supreme Grand Council is ineffective, that it's worthless, that it's not going to help us, I want you to be very careful in dealing with that person, man or woman, because they are going against what Noble Drew Ali taught. They're going against specifically and directly what Noble Drew Ali established himself, the universal prophet. So think very carefully when you hear that information and whether or not you decide to follow what they're telling you or what Noble Drew Ali said and did. What they're telling you, man knows nothing about being told, versus what Noble Drew Ali said and did. Something to think about. Wow, I didn't realize on this long. Is there any more questions? Another issue that I found was the vague information about trust and name changes is coming out of the temple. Yes. Okay, boom. The vague information about trust and name changes. The Supreme Grand Council would be the entity within the Moorish Science Temple of America that would make a statement regarding that. And it would clarify, this is the process for changing your name or changing your appellation. This is how you do it. You get this form, or you go to whatever state and you get this, boom, boom, boom. You take your checklist, boom. And once you get to that final check, you're done. You'll receive the proper documentation and that'll be it. You don't have to try it. It's not something you got to test out. It's not a belief thing. It's not some people that just made up the process online, but you can't really see them thing. It'll be all documented and recorded as any government would have. That's how we're supposed to function. And we're not functioning like that, which is the sign of dysfunction. I know it's kind of confusing. And the same thing with the trust. I hear that all the time. Oh, well, if you just do that, you can get access to your trust account. I hear that sounds good. That sounds real good. Can you show me where Noble Drew Ali was teaching that or talked about that or directed us, this is why we need to do that? Or you can't? Well, who is telling us this? Where are they getting it from? Let's get to the source. And that Supreme Grand Council, again, will be able to make a clarification, able to make a statement saying this is how it's supposed to proceed. They communicated to all the temple heads. The temple heads cascaded throughout the temples. Thus, everyone in the nation knows what's going on. That's how it's supposed to operate. And that's why it's not. Because the Supreme Grand Council is not operating, that's what allows the dysfunction and the confusion to persist and to continue. And you have to keep that in mind when you hear somebody say, oh, we don't need that. Oh, that can't help us. That's exactly the issue. That's exactly what's causing so much division and confusion. And people speaking against it are problematic. And we got to remember that. We have to pay attention to that and focus on what Noble Drew Ali said. What Noble Drew Ali said is very key. And I think I'll close out with some of that. What did I want to close out with? Yeah, I did like that one, but I had a piece. I had a piece that I wanted to read. Justice. All right, let me close up. Ooh. This page has some of the oral statements and prophecies from Noble Drew Ali. One of them says, I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourselves. And when he said that, the prophet was holding up a Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. This here. And a questionnaire. Bam. Excuse me. Bam. He was holding up these two pieces. This is what we needed to take and save ourselves with. No guns necessary. And the other one I want to read. One day, every wheel of industry is going to stop. And when they start up again, it will be in the Asiatics' favor. Hey, man. Hey, man. And then the last thing I want to read here. Here we go. Oh, that's not it, actually. But that's good. That's a good piece, though. So I may close out with that one if I can't find it. Yeah. I can't find him, so I'll close out with this one. I really want to find the one I want to find, though. Let me not give up. All right, y'all. All right. All right, I'm gonna close up. I'm close up for real now. Glad I ain't give up. What I tell you? Think this over, you Moors. Some of you have slipped and slipped drastically. So you better lace up your shoes before I get there. Everything, every business transaction or anything pertaining to finance is to be transacted in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Drew Ali. We Moors must maintain a grand treasurer, just as in the days of our forefathers. Then you are a nation. When we have a grand treasurer, then we are a nation. Until then, you are nothing. The emergency fund is issued by no book but an emergency card punched according to contribution, then marked on book. That is the law, and the law must get behind you. For I must uphold and enforce the law. My mission is to save you Moors. Man. We a nation when we have a grand treasurer. And the grand treasurer, oh, you know they working with the Supreme Grand Council. So Moors, Moorish Americans, Muslims, my sisters and brothers, where is the grand treasurer right now? Who is the grand treasurer for the Moorish Science Temple of America? Where's the finances? Where's the records? That's just one aspect. We need to be having schools. Right now would be the perfect time. Can't even attend schools. If we had a better option for our children, be another way we could reach out to our people. We need to establish schools, the treasury, governance. We got to follow Noble Drali. That's the key. The benefit is your human rights. It could all be so simple. You're right. It could be simple if we just listen to the leader that was sent for us. The choice is ours, man. Really and truly. When we get right, everything else is getting right. I hope this has been beneficial. Did I read everything I wanted to get to? Yeah. In these times, man, we have to love instead of hate. I'm saying it, I'm gonna say it again. Don't care who thinks it's corny. Love is the key, man. It's just that simple. We ain't tried a lot of things, man. Gotta love ourselves and love everybody else. Ooh, that's a tough one, Rami. That's a tough one. I know. I ain't say it was easy, but it is simple. I ain't say it was easy, but it is simple, if you feel me. All right. Love, man. Especially right now, because in the media, they're going to be pushing a lot of negativity, a lot of hatred, a lot of death and destruction. Speak love, speak positivity, speak uplifting words into our people. If you ain't got nothing positive to say, just keep it on the hush right now. Just try that own discipline within yourself. Just for a day. See how it make you feel. That's it. That's all. Much love to you. Keep shining. Peace.